Yeah, hello, this is Benjamin Ramirez. I am attempting to find a way to learn how to play chess without having someone to teach me. So, I've been doing a lot of puzzles, a lot of other things, and I came up across an idea that I want to try. And I did it once, and it seemed to work pretty well. I tried to record it, I did. The recording got deleted when I tried to upload it. So I'm going to do it again. This is against Chess 100, which is considered ELO 2300. I'm going to have chess computer assistants to help me beat it, and I'll explain how this is going to help me. Alright? So first and foremost, I'm use my normal openings, and I always play e4. So I'm going to start with that. Okay, I played e4, and he played e6. Now, I always played d4 here, so that. I already have an opening report. If I did not have one, then you would be doing what I would be explaining to you very soon. After this, I usually play e5. That's considered a beginner move more. I think people normally play knight to c3. However, because I'm not interested in learning knight to c3, I will be playing my normal move, which is e5. So let's get that rolling. Alright, he play down. I normally play knight to f3 here. So let's see if stockfish is okay with that. I'll get top a couple moves. c3, bishop d3, knight to f3. It all looks pretty okay. So that's what I normally play, and stockfish approves. So that's awesome. He captures. I usually never see this. So this is be the point to where I start to consider different things, right? I like that I can capture with my knight, I can capture with my queen, or I can decide not to capture and develop. Developing move, bishop to f4, maybe bishop to d3 maybe. It's a little weird. I think overall I most likely would just capture with the queen. I don't like the idea of capturing a knight because I'll probably move the knight back just to defend the pawn. So if I'm going to capture the queen, I can move the queen back or somewhere else. So I think I have more options with the queen capture than I do with the knight capture. So, and now of course I consider two other moves, bishop to f4 and bishop to d3, but I don't like them. So now I'm going to play their move on stockfish, you see, and look at the top 5 moves that they have. Queen takes d4 is at top, so my initial thought was, what I like. Bishop to d3, knight b to d2, knight takes d4, f4. So the moves that I consider all are there. So therefore, I'm not gonna pick the move based on what it considers top. I'm gonna pick the one based on what I felt most comfortable doing. Because when I play games, I don't have stockfish, so I'd have to be comfortable. So I would be comfortable with this in a situation. So knight takes. Now I have to consider what I would like. He's targeting the pawn and targeting my queen. I'm unsure if he has a way to target the pawn again very soon. Queen to c7 is a way. So if I move my queen back somewhere and he plays queen to c7, I'd have to defend my pawn. Or I can move now defending the pawn, allowing me to make an extra move somewhere else. Or making it so he'd have to play a different move. So, I also can pin his knight, queen to a4, queen to f4, queen to a4. I don't like queen to e3 too much because it blocks my bishop in, but if I do that, I can always play b3 and then later bring my bishop up to b2 to protect my pawn again. Basically overprotecting the pawn. The most favorite thing I like about overprotecting pieces is that at any time that I want to move one of them for a different position, I'm able to, because it's overprotected. So it's actually, I can choose at any time what piece I want to move. If I don't overprotect the piece, whatever's defending it has to stay defending it. So for me, I like overprotection, so I'm thinking queen to e3, and then maybe try to get my bishop in there very soon. So let's see what Stockfish likes. Okay, queen to f4, queen to g4. I didn't consider g4. G4 is a counterattack against the g7 square. Makes it difficult for him to move his bishop. Queen to d1, queen to d2. It has queen to e3, so I'm gonna play queen to e3 because I already have an idea formulating. He goes there. I would like to continue my idea and do b3. So let's see what he says. I move down. He goes here. B3 is not in the top 5. Now I will add 5 more for top 10. Just B3 is in there. However, it just went away. I might come back. It was considered like a -1 at first, which means in this position B3 is not the move I want to play. So if I play this opening and I make it to this move is move 6. In this position here, I do not want to be playing b3. So if I don't want to play b3 and I move my queen back for the purpose of overprotecting my pawn, I have to now look at what move I would like to make that would have an impact out of these moves. So there's bishop to d3, which is just a developing move. c3, bishop b5, which is protecting the pawn in a way that's indirect because I'm pinning the knight. Knight to b2, bishop d2, bishop e2, h3, queen to d2. b3 popped back up, but it's at -1.4. So it's inaccuracy. So if I'm going to be learning a line like this in the future, if I'm going to try to remember that if he just simply keeps the pawn right away to take, and if he threatens my queen move back and he moves the knight there, I'm going to have to remember what I think is best for what I like. And in this position, I don't need to overprotect my pawn immediately. It's already protected twice, attacked once. So I'm guessing I would accept bishop to d3 here, getting ready to castle, developing and getting ready to defend. Okay, that's to be expected. How would I handle that? I think b3 might be nice. If he takes my bishop, I'll take his knight and then move my pawn up. But then I'll be blocking my own bishop if I did that, because I have 2 pawns in the center and both on black squares. But if I move my pawn up on, he takes, I take, he tries to move his knight, I can move my bishop to a3. We might exchange bishops. I lose both bishops. I have 2 knights. He'll have 1 bishop and 1 knight. If we exchange. Not sure if that's even going to happen or not, but... I can just castle. And if I castle, he'll take. I can also take with my queen. because if I take off the center pawn, maybe I need to push it, and they both be extended. If I take off my queen, then my pawn will still be defended, and I would be able to play bishop f4 if I need to. I think I'm going to castle, and if he takes, I can probably take off my queen. So let's see what stockfish. Knight to c3, castle, knight to d4, knight to a3, knight b to d2, all are decent moves. b3 is decent as well. I think I'm just gonna castle here. So that's what I'm gonna do. It wasn't one of the moves, so why not? Okay, now he's attacking the knight. I think I'll just play knight to c3 here. I mean, I can always move rook to e1 if needed at some point, but that's, you know, not right now. I think knight to c3 would be okay here. I would still like b3 still. I still like the idea of, you know. Alright, let's see. I'm going to castle. After I castle, he moved his knight up. Knight to a3 is a3. Knight to e1. Rook to d1. Queen at f4. b3. These are all, apparently all are still decent moves. In the opening, it's usually like a whole lot of good moves almost every time, which is why there's probably so many openings to begin with. I like knight to c3, but they don't have it here at all at the top 10. I'm not going to go any farther than top 10. So rook to e1 is the only one that's on there of the moves that I considered. The only one. So I'm going to have to attempt to try to remember these move orders the best that I can. And I like this better than, you don't have to remember this move order at all, unless it's something that you actually like. You can do this for yourself and your moves, because you can watch any video you want about a certain idea or theory and you want to learn it because you think it's awesome or whatever. But if you don't understand it, it doesn't matter if you play it or not, because you're just going to be playing moves that you don't know. And if your opponent understands it better than you do, then obviously, you're done. So if you play and you actually play moves you understand every time, and you try to figure out what's best for what you understand, there's a very good chance that whatever you're going through is actually, instead of learning a line, you actually kind of created one that probably already exists, but it'll work better for you because you understand it immediately, because it's already along the way you play. I don't have to figure out 5-6 variations to realize this one I'm comfortable with by doing this. This makes it easier for me to figure out what I like best. So, rook to e1. He moved. I'm a little confused. I don't like the French very much. I've learned a little bit about it, and the line that I learned about it was very common and always played, and this was one not very common. And in a normal game, I wouldn't be in this position, even though this is what I'm comfortable with, because I would have played something else that might have been off. So I didn't have to learn a whole lot of stuff to figure that out. So I just have to review this game. So after he moved, I'm thinking knight. I'm just, you know what? I'm thinking knight to d2 or b3. I'm probably just gonna finish it on my bishop or move it to a3 at some point. So b3 probably better. So b3, knight to d2. But if he takes my bishop, I want to take off my queen and play bishop to f4. So I think b3 would be better if I can. And if not, then knight to d2. So let's see what it likes. Knight to a3 still. I don't understand knight to a3, but they've been pushing that like crazy here. So if I get confused, I'll just play knight to a3 and there you go. Apparently it's decent here. I don't understand why though. So if I play it, I'll probably do it all wrong, like the whole purpose and behind it. So it likes c3 here. I guess forcing it to move or capture, which would actually allow me to play bishop f4 like I want to. That way, once the pawn's traded off, I'm attacking the c7 square, which might be why the knight is supposed to be moving over there, just to come up. That's interesting. Knight to b2 is one of them, and b3 is one of them. It considers knight to b2 slightly better than b3, but I like my options more with b3, so it's only a 0.1 difference, not a big deal. So if I'm looking for perfection, I wouldn't know where to start because I'd have to be perfect in every move that someone else might make, which is not very likely. Alright, he moved up one. I will move probably bishop a3. So let's see. He moves up one. c3 still, knight to a3, bishop b5. Bishop a3 is possible. Okay. I'll do bishop a3 like I wanted. He castled. I don't want to take his knight because he just moves other knight there. But what if I went c3? He takes my bishop, I take his knight. He takes my other bishop, I take his bishop a3. I get ready for possible knight to b5. My knight will be a very good place at d6. So I like the idea of that. If I go c3, I don't see him defending going backwards, so he would take, I would take. There's no guarantee he will take my bishop. But he has nowhere to escape to safely. He can be captured anywhere. So bam, bam, bam. His bishop can stay there if he wanted it to, or he can capture. If he captured, I captured back. He can just push a6, preventing me from doing my plan. I can actually move c4, attempting to push. Okay. Excuse me. I'm not seeing it fully clearly of what can and can't do. And I think this is where it differs from amateur and professional, like where you actually really can visualize it fully. So I like the idea of it, so I'm going to try it. I don't know if I'll end in the squares that I want to be on, or if it's a good idea to force it, because that's obviously I can put myself in a losing situation. So he castled. c3. He captured, and I'm pretty sure I take back off to a queen. Yep, I take back off the queen. Oops. He did not take, so he played a different line. I mean, I can take his bishop still. But I don't have knight to a3 and then move up. If he takes up the queen, he's a knight, then I have it. He did allow the b5 square as a hold for my queen and for my knight. So I probably should take. I'm going to take because of that. If he takes with his queen for some reason, I can always go a4 and then knight to a3. So I should take. I think. Let's see if taking is good. Yeah, taking's fine. So I don't need to look at all these extra possibilities because it's just something I like and I would like to do and I would do. So I take. He takes with his knight. I like to move my knight to a3. Knight to a3 is a move, so that's fine. It's not the top move, but it's a move. I gotta be careful. He moved over there. That can stop what I was attempting to do. How can I keep c4? Because I wanna what I wanna do is move my knight to c4. So I'll probably do c4 myself. I'm still trying to get my knight to d6. I just like the square. I think it'd be a good square for my knight. And so how can I organize and coordinate my pieces for that in the best way possible? I like queen to d4, but he can move his knight over to f5. And then I can move my queen over to f4 if he did that. His bishop can't do much of anything in this diagonal. If I move up one, he takes his pawn. I can take off my knight. Might exchange bishop for knight just to prevent that square in d6, which is fine. One, bam, one, up, takes. I'll still be defending the pawn, the e5 pawn. I'll have a little bit of space, not much. I can my other knight, my other rook to d1 at some point, and maybe even bring my rook down to d6 if I get his d pawn out the way. Okay, I kind of like that. At first I thought t4 may be bad because he can move his knight and attack my queen, but he'll be helping me develop. So if queen to d4 is decent, I will play it. Queen to d4 is okay. It's not the top move. Knight to b5 is the top. Queen to d2, queen to e3, queen to d4 is the fourth move. It's the move that I understand the best and that I like. And so I'll play it. And this is pretty much what I think anyone can do to try to learn how to play chess. That suits their style. Not, I'm trying to copy Magnus or I'm trying to copy. Not that it's a bad thing. Obviously, it'd be better to copy him than most people probably, but it's also important to understand what you're doing. So this will allow you to develop your own for yourself. In each kind of opening, you can actually learn your opening the best way possible for you. And I did make my own opening for the Sicilian doing something like this. But it wasn't a game. It was just stockfish versus stockfish. I was looking at the best moves that were possible, and I'm like, this is what I like right here. So I made my own. I think rook A to C1 might be okay here. I think rook A to C1 would be okay here. It kind of changed things because I didn't think of that. I'm looking at like maybe one or two moves computer can do. I'm not looking into a whole bunch. I think I need to be able to visualize 4 or 5 scenarios that computer might respond with and how I'll respond, and the best I think the moves are. I think that's what I need to do to play actually well. So, not sure what people normally do, but I think based on this game right now and how it's turning out and how I haven't seen certain things, I look at one move or two move and I'm like, okay, that's I can do this, and I don't pay attention to what if he does this instead, what if this instead as a first move. I look at it as maybe second or fourth after the first that I considered. So rook to c8. I like mine rook to c1. I like rook to c1. Let's see what it says here. Rook a to okay. Rook a to c1 is definitely part of it. So okay. Now that he moved, I'm gonna try to look farther than the first idea that comes to mind. My knight is very trapped now. It looks to me. Queen of d2 I think looks best because it gives my queen scope. I already have my pawn defended 3 times unnecessarily. If I go to queen to be defended twice and it's not even attacked, it gives me scope. It gives me the e1, a5, and it gives me c1 to do h6. And I like the scope of that, of queen of d2. So I don't see any moves he actually can or can't do that would be beneficial for him. I mean, he might move the pawn down to attack my knight. I can move my knight away. I would have to move to b1 to protect my pawn. Otherwise, if I do knight to c2, he can take it for free. I can't capture it back, so I like queen d2. If he plays b4, knight to b1. If he takes, then I take. If I move the queen to d2, he goes down. I move down. Let's say he doesn't take with his pawn. What else would he do? Knight to f5. I don't see a combination. Queen b6, attacking weak square, no combination. I don't see any combinations that he can do. So I will look to improve my position and he might do the same. So let's see. He moves down. Queen to d2 is one of the moves. It's not the this time it is a top move. Well, queen a7 is actually better. It's a counter-attacking move. I didn't see that. But I'm gonna play queen of d2 because that's the move that I understood. And that's how you should do it too. If you always just play the best move, when you review it, it's not gonna make sense to you because it's not according to your thought processing. At least when I look over this more than once, it's gonna make sense for my thought processing for the opening, and then I can try to make sense of the rest of it at my own time. So this video is for me mostly, and for the process of how to do this. He moved queen to c7, obviously attacking that pawn again. I'm defending it twice. He's attacking it twice. He might attack it a third time. Knight to b1 might be possible. Rook to e3 might be possible. Knight to d4 looks interesting. I don't really need to answer that, because if I play knight to d4, he plays b4, I play knight to b1. He takes the pawn. I take the pawn. If I take the pawn of my knight, that's pretty much it. If I take my rook, that's pretty much it, because he has to move his queen. Then my knight being at d4 might give me a tactical opportunity. So I think knight to d4 might give me a tactical opportunity if he plays b4. However, if he attempts to attack it again, the e5 pawn, I can play f4 without compromising my knight. If he tries to pin it with the queen, I can my king over one. He can't follow up. Okay, so I like knight to d4. I like knight to e4. So he moved queen to c7. So far I haven't made any blunders. I think I made one move that was iffy that I switched over, which obviously changed the game to where it's at now. The game would have been probably very different if I was by myself, but I have stockfish with me, and now one error, I don't know if it would turn into more errors based on the pressure. So far so good. Knight to d4 is a good move. Okay, he moved down one. He might be looking into attacking the pawn. He's attacking my knight right now, my a knight. Almost everything was protected but my a knight, and I'm happy, because if I had more than one unprotected piece, that would have been a possible issue. So knight to b1 or knight to c2. I like knight to b1 better. That's what I would play without stockfish. So let's see what happens. Knight to b1. b4 is also possible. I don't like b4 too much. It breaks my whole all my pawns up. Knight to b1. Rook 7. He's attacking the pawn again. I'm thinking, 1, 2, 3 attackers. I mean 2 attackers, 3 defenders. He's about to make it 3 attackers. I don't see 4 attackers unless he does b4. If he does b4, I'm thinking rook to e3 would be the best way to defend his attack. I'm also liking f4. So let's see what happens. And so far, by the way, we're even. It's not one way or the other. If I played full stockfish moves, he would have been destroying him. So, he moved up one. I said I liked, well, computer likes b4 best. I like rook to e3 and I liked f4. I would have made another mistake. I don't know how bad, because it's not even in the top 10. On my own time, my homework would be to go over this position and to remember that I wanted to play these moves, and go back and actually play them through it and see how black would respond and how that would be bad. How rook to e3 would be bad, or how f4 would be bad. Oh no, rook to e3 is actually okay here now. After enough evaluation, it seems okay. So, alright, well, I'm glad he got some traction. It wasn't too horrible. It puts me at a negative 0.88. I'm at a positive 0.13. So I guess I'll play it. This is why we're still even, is because I haven't found any great moves, and I haven't allowed myself to play super bad moves. So rook to e3 it is. Which I expected, and then after that I was taking f4. So let's see what happens. No f4. No f4 at all. So I'll tell you what's considering. Rook to d1, rook c to e1, h4, a3, a4, rook to d3, h3, rook to c2, queen to d1, rook to h3. Rook to h3 I like. It's not the best one of the group, but it's the one I like. And the reason being is because it's attacking the pawn over there, and I might be able to move my queen and try to mess with his king side a little bit. So I'll prepare that. So do this first. I'll prepare it. Move his queen over. Rook to h3. Queen moves back one. Queen to d1 seems to be better than queen to d3. I would have played queen to d3. Queen to g5. I'll do queen to g5. I don't want to spend too much time overthinking each move. But rook to g3 would obviously make him destroy his structure a tiny bit. I think h4 is the best attacking move they have. You can actually do it faster by simply just looking at the moves and picking the one you like the best. You know. So I'll take this. He takes. Obviously I can't let him queen. He moves back. Oh, that's a blunder, according to Stockfish. I wouldn't have known it's a blunder, but it was a blunder. Obviously you get a free pawn, and you get to cause a little bit of chaos. And I'm okay with a little bit of chaos. Okay, I don't see why that helps him, because I can just go check, unless that's bad. Okay, it's fine. It like the knight to a3 the best, but this Stockfish really likes knight to a3 for these. Don't know why, but it does. Obviously, he can't take my knight, so I'll do it. No, he did. Okay, well, that works for me too. If I take the pawn and he takes my knight, I take the pawn with double check. And I think he's in trouble. So let's do that route. Okay, he didn't take it. That's always good. That's he can't take my knight because that would be a very big issue for him. I can take the knight, or I can take the c3. I think I'll take, and the rook or c3. I think I'll take c3. Stockfish likes taking the knight, the rook better. Apparently, if after taking and he takes my rook back, I put my rook on h8, Cobra form. Rook takes c3 is not as good. The one it recommends is a plus 19. When I was thinking of it as a plus 12. So I'll play my move. He had a very genius idea though. Very genius. I move my rook over to d3. So that's what I should do. Obviously, I can't really do anything else. He takes the pawn. Alright, in real gameplay, I would just take the rook. Here, the top 10 doesn't say anything about the rook. But I'm going to take it anyways because I'm still winning, which is good. I don't understand why he would play anything else, but they're all a lot better than when I was on that, but that's what I would play, so I'm going to play it. Well, this is it. This is pretty much the whole video, just looking at stockfish, finding moves that you understand in your pattern wise that you think is best, and that's how you can develop anything really. Obviously his queen's gone. That's pretty simple. He would resign if it was a normal person, but it's not. It's a computer that's super crazy. I'm gonna call it check. Make a move. Defend it. I probably shouldn't even look at stockfish anymore. I should look at the best moves of stockfish for this, just because. Just for fun. You know what? The position that it has here isn't even the position in the game. At some point, I made a mistake on the app. Oh wow, I'm not even playing the position that I'm playing. That's super weird. Oh well, let's just take the pawn. So I was a little off for some reason. Didn't even know it. So, That was a little weird. I'll just take both pawns and let him take my knight. Don't see why it matters. Pin his bishop. Target is guaranteed pawn. Now all I have to do is just queen. Oh, it's boring, boring, boring. I just make a queen and just shuffle them across the board for a checkmate. Alright, good game. Good game. 2300. That rating doesn't matter. It's not even. I use it for all kinds of stuff and group games and all that. So I get a little advertisement. Mafia seems to be the most popular advertisement, and it looks like the most retarded game. The Grand Boss, like you're a Mafia, you're gonna report on. That's like against the rules of being a part of Mafia, isn't it? The whole snitching thing. It's a super weird game. Whatever. I never play it. But alright. That was a good game. If you're interested in trying to learn yourself and develop your opening the best way, you're not going to remember the whole game, but at least get a feel of like why something might be wrong. And I had to go over it myself because I had a few moves that were off that weren't a part of the top few moves, and it was considered bad. So I had to look back at it and look at it and determine what's wrong with it, why is it wrong, and what I did to miss what it was that was wrong. So that will be my homework, and if you do this, then you can find ways to make yourself homework for what you think is better and how you can tweak yourself. Alright. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe and play chess.